Yo, 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 it's your boy Glenn Lawrence, and I'm back with Miss Coco. Hello, Loco Coco.
Hello, darling.
Loco Coco.
Hello,
You're
darling.
loco. So, all right. Yeah, I have been known to say this thing I'm about to say that tends to like always cause me to get a whole lot of hate. Like I get like the most flack and most shit when I say something like I'm about to say. Because they think like I'm this evil person, right? But how do I want to word it? No, fuck it. I'll just say it. Okay. I'm triggered. Personally, I can't take like the feminist cry for equality like seriously. I really can't. Like I used to. I used to think like, oh, they want equality. Like they need to be given equality, right? We should give them equality, right? And I'm like, yeah. But then I started like realizing like shit, they only want equality on all the good shit. They're like, they don't want all the equality on the bad shit. Like, what the fuck is wrong with that? They don't want the equality for the bad shit? Just the good ones? Then I was like, nah, fuck you and your equality. Like, fuck that shit. That person, because like honestly, it's like that's not equality. That's superior. That's being superior. That's superiority. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's if equality is like this, you get exactly all the same rewards and benefits that I get, but you get also the same consequences and punishments as I get. That's equality. But that's not what they're marching. That's not what they're asking for. They're not saying, hey, lock us up for the same amount of time when we commit the crime. Shit, we're equal. Like, or like, hey, give me the same amount of jail time if I'm a teacher and I molest a little boy in school, just like you would if the male teacher fucked a little girl in school. Don't give me probation. Put me in prison. But you don't see them marching for that shit. You don't see them, asking for that type of equality. No, they're like, no, pay me the same. Give me the same rights to say fuck you to you as you get to have and say to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't want equality in all areas. They only want equality in areas that benefit them. And I'm like, well, you know what? Then fuck you and get the fuck out of here. Like, if you want equality, you get all of it. You don't get to pick and choose. This is not a la carte. This is a wholesale thing, One size fits all equality over here. Do you think I'm wrong for saying that? Am I an asshole for saying that?
No, I'm a female and I think the exact same thing. I think it's almost like when you have said that women want to have these women that want to lead the house and run it. They want to have all of the benefits of leading the house, but they don't want any of the accountability or responsibility. It's exactly what it is. They want to be able to have their cake and eat it too. So I don't think that what you're saying is wrong. I think it's true that if it's true equality, like 50 cents and 50 cents is equal, right? One's not less than the other. They equate to the exact same amount of money. You can't go into 7-Eleven and give them 50 cents and then be like, thank you. And then you go into AM/PM and like, oh, sorry, this is really only 45 cents here. Like, that's not how it works. So if you really truly want equality, you can't pick what you want equality in, because what you're saying is we want equal rights. Okay, then you want all equal rights. Then you need to put that as a disclaimer saying, well, we want equal rights on A, B, C, like A through M, but M through the Z, you guys can have that. Like, they need to disclaim that. They can't just pick and choose, because men don't get to choose that.
Well, and I don't even think they should even get that. Like, oh yeah, we only want.
It should be a disclaimer if that's what they're going to go for.
But even if they came out with a disclaimer, I'd be like, oh, void, get out. Like you take it all or you take it none, all or nothing. And it's crazy because it's like, that senator from Hawaii. This is back when Kavanaugh was going up for the Supreme Court judge. When his accused rapist or grape victim came out about her, this alleged allegation that ended up being nothing. There was nothing there. 30 years later, she ends up wanting to say this all of a sudden because a Republican, judge is going to the bench and they wanted a Democrat instead. Like the senator comes out and says, men, just shut up and just believe all women. Okay. Well, with that logic, okay, if we're supposed to believe all women, when they say that when something like that happened without any evidence to support it, we're supposed to believe them. Then, ladies, you need to believe all men when they said they didn't do it. Just because they said they didn't do it, you should believe all of them, right? I mean, wouldn't that be equal?
That would be equal, absolutely.
But no! How dare I even think of that shit?
I don't even know why he would even make the statement that we need to believe all women because
it was a female senator.
Oh, well, then that totally explains it because I'm like, of course she would say that because she knows that women lie. I mean, everybody lies.
Everybody lies.
Women are perfect. Everybody lies.
Women lies. Everybody lies.
But where?
Shit, even dogs lie. Yes, the dog, did he do it? He goes, no.
Yes, exactly. But the thing is like the lies that women are telling ruin lives. That's the problem. Like she can't say you need to believe whatever a woman says. No, because then that makes a woman never accountable for the things that she is doing, even when they are false accusations and she is ruining that person's life, maybe because she's petty, she's bitter, something happened and she was butthurt. Like that's not a reason. She felt rejected.
Let me push back on a little bit. And here, ladies, I'm pushing back on a woman and not violently, but I'm talking about her words. Okay. But I would say the same thing about men too, though, because men lie. Guys that do violent things to women, they don't want to get punished for it either. And they'll be like, I didn't do that shit. That bitch is lying. So it's like, if we just believe anybody, we shouldn't believe anybody. Honestly, we should take what they say under consideration and then require them to prove their statement with facts.
What do you say? Trust but verify.
Yeah, I trust that you're going to provide some facts that I could verify. And it's like, I think when it comes to like situations like that, yes, obviously, historically speaking, women have been treated like crap when it comes to being raped and abused. I mean, there's been thousands of millions probably of women that have been sexually harassed and sexually assaulted, at the hands of a man.
Mm.
And that's horrible. But that should not like automatically dismiss the number of guys that have been accused of sexual assault or rape and falsely. Because that's the huge argument that a lot of women, a lot of feminists will say, like, well, the numbers don't even fucking add up. Like they're not even the same. They don't even equate. And it's like, do they have to equate to be wrong and to bring somewhat of awareness, or do they have to equate in order for you to actually want to do something about it? Like, do they have to equate? So there has to be a specific number that this has to reach a threshold at before you take it as something that we should address. Well, what if I say like rape needs to be 5 billion trillion billion, and it hasn't got there yet. So we probably shouldn't really we shouldn't prosecute guys yet until that hits the number. How stupid is that? How horrible would that be? That's dismissing of that person that just got victimized, situation, right?
Yeah, I agree. It's those things should be made aware, but the percentages shouldn't matter because the only thing that's being stated as facts, like there's a fact being proven and shown that it doesn't happen to just one person. Yes, it may be less on this end, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't get worse.
Yeah, and I mean, and we have seen women get a little bit more bold and saying that they will do something like a false grape accusation. I mean, there's a video that was floating around. I think I showed you not like a while back, maybe like a year or two ago, where this guy is recording himself. Like he has two phones. He has one phone in his hand talking to his ex-girlfriend that he just broke up with. And he's telling her like, no, he's not going to get back together with them. And the other phone's recording him or someone's recording him. And in that conversation, it's like she's pleading like, just make it work. Let's just make it work. We're better together. We're the dream team. And he was just very adamant that like, I'm sorry, it's just not going to work out. Like, it's not going to work out for me. This is not working. I don't want this no more. And she said, if you don't get back with me, I will tell everybody that you raped me. And she's saying that as like, she didn't know that he had her on speaker and that he was recording. But she said that as a form of like, look, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to say this. It doesn't matter if I could prove if I could prove it or not. I don't need to prove it to ruin your life. I just have to say it and I get to ruin your life.
Yeah, she just wanted to provide him with a scare tactic.
Yes,
she wanted.
It's manipulation, right?
Yep.
Trying to manipulate the outcome. And it's like, if young women are getting to the point where they think that's an option for them.
That's such toxic behavior.
It's like, wait a minute, like, why don't we, if that means that has to be something that if we get to the point where people are openly saying like, yo, I'm going to accuse you from something and I'm going to get what I want out of it because they're not going to believe you. So you're better off just doing what I say. Like, then like it's bad. It should be bad. Yep. That should be like a huge red flag when people are openly telling you how they're going to, get you to do what they want against your will.
Yeah. There's a huge flaw in the system of what's going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, does that mean we should diminish like with women that like, that claim that they've been raped? No, I think that we should still, to the top of the letter of the law, prosecute, investigate every case the same. Mm-hmm. Whether it's Brittany Renner, who's big time, hoe who slept with all these, celebrities and stuff and gets pregnant by him, whether she cries rape or if it's, I don't know, some church girl that cries rape, the investigation should be the same. They should go to the full extent of the letter to prove or to find the evidence to prove whether or not it happened.
Yeah.
And if it didn't happen, if they don't find that evidence that supports that, then they should prosecute her to the extreme letter of the same punishment that this man was going to be facing for a false allegation. And here's the other thing, like the statistic numbers when it comes to false allegations, they like, well, it's significantly low than significantly lower than the guys that get accused of rape or convicted of rape. And I'm like, well, yeah, because the grounds of proving false allegations, you have to show malicious intent. You have to prove that this person was maliciously accusing you, that she 100% consented to it, and then decided, beforehand that she was going to use this situation against you, and it's like, do you know how hard it is? How hard is it going to be able to prove what someone was thinking in their head if they never said it out loud?
Impossible.
Like how do you get a confession out of a thought?
You can't.
Get it? How do you get a confession out of a thought? That's pretty good.
Good wordplay. I like what you did there. I like what you did there. You can't. You can't. You can't prove that.
Then let's look at family court. Like, like I think we mentioned in our last podcast that if women, I asked you the question, if women had to face the same consequences or cost and risks that a man has to when a divorce happens in a marriage, I asked you, do you think women would still be wanting to get married? And then you said no. You said there would be a significantly next to nothing amount of women that would want to get married still, right? So think about family law. Like, right now, as we all know, like damn near 90% of the time, the mother is always seemed like the parent that gets the child, the parent that gets alimony, the parent that gets the custody, like right out the gate just because she's a woman. You know, if that was 50-50, do you think, women would put themselves in a position to get pregnant as often as they do?
I know that if I was that type of woman, I would actually be more cautious.
Like,
I
you're like, shit,
would.
like I can't use this guy as a cash cow and to
No,
finance my lifestyle
no,
because the odds are that he could actually end up getting custody and I have to pay him.
that's true. And I actually have known because it also depends on certain states. Because I think it's Washington. I think it's Washington State where it doesn't automatically go to the husband. It's whoever in the household makes the most money
There's
is
there
who has to actually pay the
Yeah.
alimony. Because I knew a woman, she got a divorce, and her husband actually he wanted to leave her, but he was actually cheating. But he wanted to leave, and he couldn't hold a job to save his life. And she was a nurse,
And she was the breadwinner.
and she actually had to pay him alimony, even though she had the kids. She still had to pay him alimony because he
Mhm.
basically was a stay-at-home dad because he
Yep.
couldn't hold a job.
And I bet you
So
she
there are
fucking
some.
hated that shit, didn't
Oh,
she?
she did because he was a pothead. He didn't want to work. Like all this other, she would try to get him to work, but anyway, so it did suck. She was really bitter about that. I'm like, so this is proof that women would have a problem with it if the roles were, if it was that equal to where it's not about like the woman automatically, I'm just going to cash out. I'm going to automatically do this. If there were repercussions like that, being like, no, if you're going to be the leader and the breadwinner in the household, then you're going to have to pay alimony or child support.
Yeah, because
Like,
do you remember when Adele divorced, like her and her husband got divorced a
yeah,
couple
she
years
has a
back?
ton of
She
money.
paid him like millions
Yeah,
on
to pay
millions.
so much money.
And I heard nothing but women complaining about it. How could she? What kind of a man does that? What kind of a man takes her money like that? He's not a real man.
What does it say
So are
about
you
women?
not a real woman then? Like if you like when you take the man's, are you not a real woman? Like everybody that was praising Jeff Bezos' wife for being like one of the richest women in the world after the divorce, mind you, like she became one of the richest women in the world because she divorced one of the richest men in the world. Like she didn't do anything to acquire that money
Yeah, she
other
didn't
than
earn that money. No.
no. And some women would be like, well, excuse me, being his wife, she earned it that way. What? Being the wife, you wanted to be his wife before he got rich.
Right.
So
But if she was an at-home wife, I don't think that I think it's unfair that they base how much a person should get based off of how much they make.
yeah,
That's what I think is not fair. Yes, if you guys have a household structure where like the husband says like I'm going to go out and I'm going to work. I want your role to be here and be mom, to be wife, those kinds of things. Yes, she's going to need something if a divorce happens. She's going to need something because she hasn't been in the workforce and God knows how long she's going to start off. She's going to have nothing. So yes, but it shouldn't be like, well, you make millions of dollars, so she's gonna take this much of your money every month. Like that's not that to me that's unfair. Like
yeah. Like
they
my
should be
thing
like, this
is like,
husband hasn't been together for so many years. This is what you did. Okay, so if we were going to put a number on that and pay it, like what was minimum wage at this time? What was minimum wage at that time? How much was medical? Maybe do it that way. Like if you guys are gonna treat it like it's a job because marriage isn't a job.
actually, that's a really good idea. If they're gonna treat it like it's a job, then they should only get paid for from the merit from the whatever the minimum wage was when they got married. If
Mhm.
it was $12 an hour, and let's say you did 30 years of marriage, and you
You
wanted
have
a
to
divorce.
equate the different changes of lifestyle. So if the minimum wage goes up, okay, between this year and next year, it was
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, just accumulate as it goes up.
Yep.
Then that's how much money for 40-hour week, 40
Mhm.
hours a week, right? Then
Mhm.
that's how much money your alimony should be.
Yeah.
But see, here's the other caveat to that though. Like for me, it's like if we're married, and let's say there's nothing wrong with what's going on in our marriage, and you just decided that you wanted out, and I was the one working.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have to pay for you wanting out. That's
Like
how I look at it.
no.
No. I should, like, whatever assets we acquired, cool. We can liquidate those.
Mm-hmm.
You get half and I'll get half.
Yep.
But alimony wise, no. Because I'm not the one that's reneging on the contract. Right. That was you reneging on the contract. You reneging on the relationship. So if you want to leave, then you're free to leave. You're just not going to take anything of mine with you.
I agree with that. I think that if one person wants to leave and there's no reason, they just fell out of love, they can't get back to it, whatever the case is. But yet again, nothing had to have happened where it caused that to change. Okay. If everything had been the same, then I don't see why somebody should have to pay somebody alimony because they're like, I'm just not in love with you anymore. Okay, well, then that's nice. So liquidate assets. You find a way that you can accommodate your own lifestyle within the means that you're given from division. And then you can go on your search for somebody else that you do love.
But see, I think like it's like that has to be like there has to be like very defined reasonings for whatever that thing to change. Like you said, like if for like what'd you say? I think you said like there has to be unless they can't have any reasons for that to change. For them to fall out of love, right?
Yeah, like I said, like if they're still equally yoked together, they still communicate, they're still doing the things to stay healthy and be attractive for each other. If intimacy is not a problem in their relationship, if it literally is just a mental thing, for some reason, there should be, honestly, I don't understand why a person would fall out of love with someone.
They do.
No, but see, I think that that's actually a lie.
But see, here's the thing.
Everything causes somebody to fall out of love.
Exactly. So then you're saying like anything could be a reason for someone to fall out of love and then meet the threshold to get paid out. And I'm like, no, there should be very, very extreme, like, or very defined reasonings in order to get paid out. Like, I think like if you want to leave just because you fell out of love or you don't find them attractive anymore or you don't like his snoring, like then if that's your reason for like you not wanting to sleep with him no more because he snores and you don't want to share the same bed with a snorer, like Coco said about me. I'm kidding. If that's the case, then you shouldn't like be able to get anything out of that. That should not be the threshold of the reason. I think there should have to be like, because again, when someone said they fall out of love, that's the feeling that they have control over. I can't control the way you feel and whether you love me or not. You know what I'm saying? That's entirely on you. So if you are the one that can control whether you are in love or not, then I should not be held to a standard of having to pay for that if you choose like you're no longer feel that way. Does that make sense?
Yes, as long as you mean if that individual has no reason to fall out of love, because otherwise, what is the reason? And like, if there is reasons why how somebody could fall out of love,
then what? That's what I'm saying. What are those reasons? Well, give me a list of like reasons that we could like discuss over. That would be something that you consider.
If someone was, if there was infidelity, if someone was abusive, domestic violence.
And I'm not just saying physical, but I'm also saying verbal to that.
I agree because that mental can do a lot of damage. And you and I actually were both in a mental, yeah.
Because when they say domestic violence, they think physical abuse, right? And but
it's physical, mental, and emotional. It's the three forms of abuse.
Yes, but when it comes to DV, when we hear domestic violence, right, we automatically assume it's a man that beat his woman, right? But nobody ever like looks at domestic violence as the wife belittling the husband or the wife, manipulating the husband and doing that's all domestic violence. If you think about it, like that type of a treatment and abuse. Oh, you're stupid. Like, oh, you got a little dick. You got little dick energy. Like that's all. Yeah. But we don't consider that as a factor. And I think if we're going to say domestic violence, that should be considered as well. Just as the guy that tells his wife she's fat and ugly, and nobody wants her. Like that's a mental abuse,
Yeah.
you know, and that shit shouldn't be taken either.
No, I think also if there's a lack of intimacy, that's
Oh, absolutely.
that's a reason, because
That
that's very
leads to
important in a relationship.
well, that leads to in affairs as well, you know,
Yes,
like,
it does.
you know,
Yes.
like I think, you know, some people need to realize like, oh, well, he cheated on me. Oh, he's just a dog. Well, you stopped putting out. You haven't put out since 1986.
Yeah.
It's 2024. Of course, the guy got tired of looking around for your kitchen.
Yeah. The last two that I would say is that if someone became a user and it was tearing
Yep.
apart their family, definitely using. And if a person was
And for those that don't
toxically-
know what user means, she's talking about drug abusers.
Yes.
If people became addicted to drugs and they got habitual to
drugs
the
or
point where,
alcohol,
yeah, any type of, you know, anything that
Addicted
could alter the
substance.
mind. Yeah.
And then lastly is somebody who's toxically controlling.
I think that's harder to define though.
Okay,
Because the other ones are easy. Like the other ones were pretty easy, but this one's gonna be harder to define.
Well, for an example, like one way of toxic controlling is when if a man decides that because he just has the authority that even though you do everything and then some of your own duties as a wife, he decides that nothing that you need as a woman is important. And that
Well,
you get an allowance to buy the things that you desire. So if you needed tampons or if you needed makeup or shampoo or even essentials, if there are things that a woman needed, you got an allowance. And that's all that you could do.
Well, what if like that's like the budget like of his income? Like
No,
you
there's
know,
a difference. If it's a budget, that's something that they talk about together. I mean, she is not allowed to have any access. She can't have a debit card. He will fill her gas card.
Oh, you're talking about like she has no access to any of the finances, and he like just gives her money. Like, here, this is all you get.
Yes,
you don't get
she's not allowed to have friends. Okay. He isolates her, but he can go out and do whatever he wants. Like there's basically she's just supposed to like stay at home and do absolutely nothing for herself. Whether it's either going to the gym because he's like, I don't want you to be around other guys, that kind of toxic controlling stuff.
Oh, so you're talking about, yeah, okay. Because I could see like certain things be like, you know, like for me, girls night out, like going to the clubs or anything, you could do that. Just be prepared to be single. You know, when you come
that
home.
works both ways. I agree. Like we have that agreement. Like yeah,
like you know, like that's not my thing. Like I'm not.
There's no need for that either. I mean, like
no, it's like if you're going out to the club and you're getting all dolled up and you're showing your titties out, you know, like you are signaling to people, I want attention or I am single. Look at me, I'm on the market. Look how hot I am. You know, and I hate when women say, "Well, I do it for me." No, you do it for attention. Okay, like the reason why you do it for you is because you would like the attention that you get. So yeah, you're feeding off of it and it makes you feel good. You may not, you know, but you're still doing it to get the attention from men. So you're doing it for attention. I don't care what you got to say. Like nobody walks around in heels and cleans their house in lingerie for themselves, unless they're you, because we already just, you know, yeah. Anyways, but that's not normal, you know, like that's not what women normally do. So it's like, if you're getting all dolled up and you're making yourself look as attractive as you can when you go out with your girlfriends, you are subconsciously or consciously putting the relationship at risk by making yourself appear to be available for other male suitors. And if I'm like, you know what, if you decide you want to go do that, then that's fine. Just plan on coming home and being, you know, me gone. Simple as that.
I agree with that. Like that's completely understandable. Yeah, I'm not talking about that because that's the same with me. Like I think like for men and women, like you either do things together if you guys are going to go out with other couples or friends, or like if the guys are going to have a guys' night, really it's just them going to one of their buddies' house that they choose of that week who's going to host poker night and have cigars or have a couple of drinks.
Or going to the cigar lounge, you know, like or like going, you know, going camping or going, you know, fishing or, you know, like doing some
going
other
to the shooting range or something. But going out to clubs or, we're gonna go to this bar, we're gonna go to this, like that.
Yeah, because my thing is
doesn't
like
need to
if you
happen.
put yourself in a scenario that is known is where people go when they're single, to trying to
Hook
find
up.
somebody to get, hook up or meet up with or whatever, to find a mate or a mate for the night or a mate for whatever. Like if you are married and you're going to those places without your significant other, your wife or your husband, then you are by default presenting yourself to the other people that don't know you're married. You're saying to them like, hey, I'm here just like you're here, and we're here for the same thing, although that may not be the case, but that's what you're signaling. And it's like, why would you want to put yourself, or if you cared enough about your relationship, why would you want to put your relationship in a position where there might be a potential threat?
Yes.
you
But
know
anyway, circling back to
But yeah, but like, so I think like when it comes to like controlling like that, I don't think that's controlling. I think that's control. But like, if you said like, you know what, no, you can't go to Sasha's house. No, I don't care. I don't like her. I don't care I don't care if you guys are just gonna be making mittens and crocheting stuff together and drinking tea. No, I don't like her. Like that's no. I don't think anybody should have the control to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that, if you're married to somebody, you should have access to their bank account. Like that's your joint account. That's if you need something for emergency, like you need to be able to have access to that. Now, at the same time, if he's the one that's the breadwinner and he's saying, look, this is our budget that we have to live in, and you decide, like you want to go get some, I don't know, lip fillers and some butt injections because it makes you feel like it's a necessity as a woman to have these booty like wow and the lips like Angelina Jolie, and you end up taking that money and screwing up the budget. Well, then hell yeah, I think he should be able to say like your card is revoked because you put us in you risked our financial situation in our relationship. You show that you are not responsible and get to what we need to take care of. I can't trust you with this no more. Then I can see somebody doing that. But
for a period of time until they
until
you
she
need something,
proves,
I'll go with you. We can go together and I'll get it for you. And
until she proves that she could be responsible again in that area. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But like to control them right out the gate like that, no, I think that's wrong. I think that's evil.
Well, yeah, I think that those are the reasons that I feel for that dynamic of like somebody being able to claim something out of something is under those circumstances, because in all honesty, nobody should ever have to be in that kind of situation or continue to live a life like that.
No, I agree. I agree. And, I think that like, let's say that, let's go back to I want just real quick before we go, but let's like the whole allowance thing. Let's say like his budget can, let's say you want to get your hair did, but your hair, when it was red, it was like $1,200 every 3 months, and
hair color.
and let's say like I'm like, look, baby girl, like I love your hair red, I love the hair red, but that's not in the budget, like that should not be considered abuse. If you wanted, to maintain your hair red is like, look, I'll cover everything else, but you might need to go get yourself a little,
part-time
put in, or like whether you already have a part-time job. What if you have a part-time? Then you need to pay for that out of your own pocket, because I know you're not contributing as much as I'm contributing to everything else. So you at least cover that expense for yourself if those are the things that you need for whatever. I think when it comes to those things, I think that should be considered appropriate and understandable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've known plenty of women that they were older and they had lived a traditional household, and that was their thing. Like there were some women that they could be retired. I'm like, what are you doing working? And she's like, I honestly just do it for spending money, because his pays the bills so we can go on trips. We have everything that we need. And for when I want to have a shopping spree, even though if I don't need new clothes or I don't need a new purse or something.
Like every 6 months.
Yeah, she's like, so if I wanted something that, isn't necessity and I just wanted something to get myself, she goes, then I just have spending money so that way it doesn't affect our household finances. And I'm like, that's actually pretty smart, as long as it I agree with that as long as it doesn't hinder a woman's role at home for her.
Yeah, that's another thing
and
too.
her husband with her duties to her husband as well.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that's like,
because women start chasing money just like anybody else. Once people get a taste of making money and they have that more financial freedom, that's why it's like more money means more problems. It really does. But like when they start getting the taste of that financial freedom, that's where things start to go all crazy. Then they lack what their duties they're supposed to do at home because all they want to do is go out and make money so they can have all these other fancy things or the things that they want to do. And it just
it's almost like they want at that point, and that's, you made a great point, because like in one of my videos I did with Phil, talking about like the boss chick,
yeah.
I said like that's why guys don't want to get with the boss chick, because if a guy is looking for a wife, he's looking for his helpmate, right? And if his helpmate is only helping herself because she's too busy working over there and getting the bag, then she's unsuitable to be a helpmate. And it's like, no, when we get into this relationship and we make this commitment, okay, I don't want my wife being gone out of the house just as much as I am.
Right.
Because when I finally get home, I want to be able to be with my wife. Now, if my wife is always working and, she's always got money on her mind and she's out there, getting the bag, then she's not fulfilling the duties of my wife. So, and it has nothing to do with financial freedom so much, because it's not like I wouldn't want her to be financially free, because I would hope that I could, bring in and secure enough finances so that we could just have the lifestyle that we desire and be able to, live freely like that and do the things that we want to do financially and not have that be a stressor. But if she is so career driven, as you said, like, they start chasing the money, they start like falling short on their duties at home. Well, then they have chosen at that point that this money is more important than this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And, a guy should not have to, settle for that just because she wants to be independent.
No. The only way that would work out for him, though, is if they ended up getting a divorce. He'd be like, will you make your own money, bitch?
And if he had a prenup, that said that, as long as he had a prenup that said that.
That's the only way that I see that would ever benefit a guy, is if he was really worried and their relationship was rocky. He's like, yeah, you go ahead. Like, that would be
unless
a good idea.
Got a raise,
she can make her own money.
Well, and also, unless she got a raise and she ended up started making more than he did, he'd be like, yeah, you go get that money. And then they divorce me.
You know, right? You pay me alimony. Yeah. But I'm saying that's the only reason why I'd be like, if a guy in that situation was like, yeah, go ahead. Like, cool. I mean, there are guys, there are guys that like the fact that their wife makes more money because it gives them more freedom. And I think it's just because there are some men in today's day and age, just like how the women have changed and want to be the boss lady. And there are guys that like, I really just don't want to have to work that hard. Like, they lost that sense of drivenness.
Well, yeah, because I think a lot of these guys just don't know what it's really like to be a man, for one. And because they haven't had a man teach them how to be a man, because we have so many fatherless homes, thanks to feminism. And I will say exactly thanks to feminism, because feminism, they have one of the feminists said like their plan or the desire is to destroy the nuclear family. Well, what is the nuclear family? Well, it's a husband, a dad, and a wife, a mom, doing what? Living in the same house, raising the family. So since their desire and their goal is to destroy the nuclear family, it's like, feminists are the ones that are trying to destroy the nuclear family. They're just trying to destroy the home.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, as I say, where's your facts? You want to fact check me? Cool. I love fact checking, because I'm a big supporter of fact checking, right? So here we go. We're going to fact check myself. What does this say right here? Go on, baby. You can read it.
The complete destruction of traditional marriage and the nuclear family is the revolutionary or utopian goal of feminism, by, what is that, Kate Millett?
Yep. So, as you can see, thank you, feminism, for destroying the nuclear family.
Yeah.
Not all of you. It's not all on them either, because a lot of guys have done enough damage for themselves to destroy the family as well. But I'm saying
Yeah.
like, it's not like what a lot of people think where it's all guys.
Yeah.
No, there's a strategic attack on marriage from the feminists that nobody wants to point out. But no, I think the list that you gave is reasonable. I think that's really reasonable. And like, this whole topic was about equality and why I can't support, these movements anymore. Because, there's this they like they don't want to talk about the inequality that benefits them.
Mhm.
They only want to talk about the equalities that they want that benefits them. And I'm like, well, you know what? From a principle standpoint, if you want equality, you have to get all of it or none of it. You don't get to pick and choose. And that's where I stand on it. And if that makes me a misogynist, well, then go ahead, label me whatever you want. But guess what? My girl got nicer titties than you do, and she's hotter than you, and she still likes me. So eat a dick. And with that being said, actually, she'll tell you out of her own damn mouth.
I don't think you're a misogynist at all.
And you like me because I get to play with your titties too, huh?
But of course.
All right, everybody. Well, until next time, peace.